Hey, Kevin here, top wanted financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I want to answer a few questions that you had about some of the moves I made and whether or not I should be concerned about taxes, or am I concerned about taxes? We had a lot of tax questions, so I want to get to those. So number one, thank you for asking those questions. They are very important things that we do need to talk about. I want to kind of walk through and explain why I'm not overly concerned, what concerns you should have, and how taxes work at a high level. Now, we did do an entire video with a high level overview of how taxes pretty much work. Feel free to go back and watch that one. It's like 10 or 15 minutes long. So go back and check that if you have any additional questions about taxes. But here's what you need to know. You have two paths, just two, that you can be charged or assessed taxes on a regular investing account. So when I say regular investing account, I'm not talking about your retirement accounts. Not your 401k, not that stuff, not your IRA, individual retirement accounts, or even a Roth IRA. Move those things to the side. That's not for this conversation. We're only talking about your regular brokerage account, like the account I have on Public, the accounts that you can get from a Cash App or Robinhood, just regular accounts, non-retirement accounts, okay? We're just talking about those. And in those accounts, anytime that you sell a company within a year, so 1 year or less, you could be charged or assessed a tax bill. You'll get what's called, I believe it's a, well, don't quote me on the tax form because I'm definitely going to get that wrong. But you could get a tax bill that's going to charge you anywhere between 10 to 37%. You would have to pay those taxes in April, or every April rather. Very rarely you're not going to get exactly 37%. We're going to use that for today's example to make the math easy, but we have what's called a progressive tax system. So the first bit of profit, the first dollar or so is going to be at 10%, then the next one's going to be a different level, and it kind of steps up. So it won't be, I made $100, I have to pay $37 in taxes. It is not like that, okay? That's not how it works, not in the States. So don't worry about that, but we are going to use that basic, simple math example just for everybody to focus and get it, okay? So you have the regular income tax bracket, which is what you would pay, 10 to 37%, and that's the same, when I get paid for my paycheck, we're all assessed on that same scale. So if I sell a company in 1 year or less, that's the tax rate I could be charged, which I would prefer to avoid, right? Or reduce. So if I wait if I wait more than a year, so it's a year and a day, if I wait more than a year, then my tax rate could drop, and you could pay anywhere between 0 and 20% with the current tax rates. This could change, but right now it's 0 to 20%, which is an advantage, right? Anytime I can wait a year or longer and then take my profits or switch companies or what have you, my taxes could be a whole lot lower, especially if I'm in that top tier tax bracket. You're talking, what, 17% difference. That's pretty significant if you're selling. Here's the thing though, that is only an advantage to you if the company is the same or continues to grow. Okay, so for example, and we'll walk through this. Let's say I invest $100, I make 20%. So I made $20. My $20 could be taxed, right, at as high as 37% if I sell it within a year. But if I wait a year or more, if I wait more than a year rather, then that same $20 could be taxed at 20% or lower. That's only if that company stays the same for a year or more. If that company starts off great, you made the $20, and then it starts to dip, then this is not necessarily beneficial for you or as beneficial for you, which is the case that I make when I sell off any companies at that 6-month mark. What I try and do rather, is I have the S&P 500 as my benchmark. That's the biggest 500 companies in the United States. It's less risky than investing in one single company. So for example, what I was saying is T-Mobile, I'm taking more risk putting money into T-Mobile. I could have just put money in all 500 companies and done better. You didn't do that, Mark. I put more risk into you. T-Mobile, you only made 7 or 8%. Bro, you gotta go, right? So here's the problem though. I could pay up to that 37% because I sold within a year. If T-Mobile starts to dip, then that's not as beneficial for me, just to reduce those taxes. So let's work through some numbers. All right, so short term, right? Let's say you invest $100, you make $20, you're only going to be taxed on the 20 in either scenario. If I do it under a year, I would pay that 37%, assuming I'm in the highest tax bracket. Again, we're doing simple math here. That's not what you would really pay. We're doing simple math. So in this case, I would pay $7.40 in taxes, which is going to leave me with $12.60. Right down market. Okay, so $20 is what I made. I get to keep $12.60. In real life, you're taking a little bit more, but again, we're just making it super simple for this case. But if I kept it for a year, and let's say it's Nike or T-Mobile or what have you, I had 20%, but I just kept waiting. I wanted to wait until the entire year. It still does well, but now I only make 10%, right? I only make 10%. I'm still in the highest tax bracket, and I'm paying 20% in taxes. This case, because I only made $10, I am paying just $2 in taxes, which leaves me with $8. So in this case, I'm still not necessarily benefited by waiting more than a year, because we're looking at profits. I could have sold within 6 months, paid a higher tax bracket or paid a higher tax rate, and kept $12.60. Or I could have waited an entire year or more and kept $8 at the end of the day. I think I'm going to take the money in this scenario. Now, the other thing you want to know or need to know is that, yes, these are cherry picked numbers. There is a point at between 6 months or a year or what have you, where there's an exact number where they're either equal or one of the other situation is going to be more beneficial for you. I just did 50% because it's easy math for all of us to do. But the other thing is, there are no guarantees in the market. For example, Nike is one of my best examples. Nike was for returns when I started investing in Nike, which is not as soon as my son did, which I wish I would have invested when he got it. Aside from point. However, it was not doing well up until they announced how well they were doing in China, and boom, the company took off 15% in a day. I ended up making like 14%. So that's what you gotta pay attention to. Excuse me. There is no guarantee that it's going to continue on that pace. Nike could flame out this year, or for the next 6 months, Nike could go right back down to where it was. We don't know. So because I don't believe in it as much as what I believe in Ford or Capital One or any of the companies I had, I say, look, I'm going to have to take the risk, possibly take a higher tax hit now to avoid a less profit factor at the end of the day. It's not always about taxes. Taxes are important. They are. You're never going to hear me say it's not important. But if the objective is to make money, then you have to make those adjustments. If I felt that Nike was going to continue on that path and stay up there, that would have kept it. One great example of this was Adobe. I didn't think Adobe was going to do as well, but it continued to do well. I still think they're in a very good place, and they had a much higher, a much more consistent return rate than what Nike had. I'm up close to 20% on Adobe. So guess what? Adobe stays, right? I will gladly wait a year and some change to get rid of that one, because I think it's still going to grow at a great pace. I didn't see that from T-Mobile. I definitely didn't see it from Thermo Fisher, and I'm not sure about Nike. So for me, I had to let it go now before things get worse or continue back to where they were, which was pretty bad, especially for Nike. So yeah, I could pay as high as 37%. But again, in this scenario, I keep more profits, right, in this case, versus what could happen if I don't think the company is going to end up being doing well. So that's what you need to know. Lastly, what I'll say, and I'll wrap this up, is that it's not, I don't personally try and flip everything every 6 months. That's doing a little too much. If it's good, if it meets the benchmark, or I really believe in the company, then I'm going to keep it. You're probably not going to see me anytime soon. Apple, Netflix, Google, I'm not selling them. They're not going nowhere. Disney for now is not going anywhere. Apple, I think I said Apple already. So like those companies, they're not going anywhere. Eventually, if I have to, maybe I'll sell a little bit of it, but that's not going to be until December, if that, right? So I wanted to kind of give some context there. So that's a little bit about how taxes works. You can go back and watch the entire video of the high level overview of everything you need to know about taxes and each of those accounts. So that's it for me today. Hopefully that works. I'm trying to add more things to the videos, trying to do, what do you call it? Like nice graphics and point to things and do all the things that people do on YouTube, because it seems cool. So y'all say y'all want more YouTube content, so you gotta get YouTube quality stuff. So slowly but surely, we are going to get there. But you know, progress. All right, so that's it for me. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, all the other stuff they tell you. I am teaching a free class. That link is below. I want to show you how to create a 6-figure investing plan from scratch. So make sure you sign up. And that's it for me. Talk to you guys later.